Hey, good morning. It's a little after 5, maybe before 6 on the West Coast. Um, and I woke up to, this broadcast talking and um, going over that they're like threatening my life last night. Myself and everybody on this perp, even where their real bodies are at, laying passed out on those machines, can be turned off by like a fucking satellite. The anti-terror lightning in a jar, tortured TI into mean words. Oh. Is so contained and nothing. Everybody on this perp can be turned off from a fucking satellite no matter where they're at, and they just don't know it. And Kevin, who's not being too dangerous, but is a perp from another location who can't be killed here, was right yesterday, and his mom acknowledging Kevin's not really my kid and stuff like that. And they, on perp and getting fed bad information as characteristics of the B system. Kevin was right yesterday. I'm trying to avoid being triggered. So I wake up this morning in the middle of the night and I'm hearing Kevin Christian's wicked ex-girlfriend, same algebra, but it's an EMF perp faking a kid's voice, talking about threatening nigger's life over the night time. They're really they've been virtue stealing like the electric core from me and the 1.5 million Ti for I don't even know how long of my 15 years, but and virtue signaling and efforts to like threaten to try and kill me and then like live out my life, that not able to really explain better for the next 20-30 years about the portal exits after death. It's all a front. This is terrorism, prolonged terrorism, 15 years of torture every fucking day. But these motherfuckers fronting like there's something could be turned off from a fucking satellite. And this goofy kid, problem, reaction, solution, Patsy, they moved in to make the anti-fascist Christians look bad. Motherfucker is so terrified of me, he can't even, he's probably an EMF perp at another location who can't talk, but they're so weak, they can't talk directly to me. So I admit in my trauma-based mind control, when I aim to humiliate, or when I show anger, that's actually showing weakness. And it's ill tactic, and I get prodded with NLP every 15 to 20 seconds to modify the behavior, to get the reaction, and then the solution is, degrade the target further. Getting backed into a corner. I heard Dr. Horton, who was getting indirectly threatened from the EMF with like rectal torture and stuff like that from like some British lawyer, as she's reading the letter that's threatening indirectly from the EMF. One of the perps on my at my house is like, say, yeah, Dr. Horton's getting threatened with EMF. This lawyer was saying, stop defaming me or expect a porcupine enema, rectal torture from an EMF monitor broadcast, and other outrageous threats. But I had never seen a PhD ever talk about their credentials in such a manner where she was so threatened. And it was a pathos, logos, and ethos really trying to establish her expert status up against rereading an intelligence community or front lawyer EMF threat from somebody that was coming down on Dr. Horton. I was watching some of her videos. Like, she's taking the Patsy misdirection bait in some regards and maybe biting off more than she can chew. She's really an intelligent person, but because the perp gangs can read our thoughts as we're having them, as Kevin Christian describes, all that's used against us. The more skilled in espionage, EMF subreality, terrorism, biohacking, and managing my dopamine levels from the EMF unfortunately trumps all other smarts, backed up by the full force of the military, Space Force, and all that shit. So, yeah, it doesn't matter that Dr. Horton and I are extremely intelligent in certain areas. All of our thoughts are being monitored and used against us by some cold-blooded motherfuckers. So I woke up this morning, baited um, these guys who could be turned off by satellites where they're really at. I mean, that's the joke of the anti-terror shakeup, is that I, as the TI, get fucking tortured, and all these clowns, all they can do is front. Deep Thought News had their number like in 2016, 2017. All they do is front. I'm not gonna get killed. Um, and Dr. Horton and I and 1.5 million other Americans are being abused in similar ways. I hope maybe in the next couple of weeks or months to be able to reach her. She was talking about her affidavit process, which I totally dropped the ball on over this last year that I've been here, totally distracted by other matters. She was recommending we sue the Crown Corporation, slaves under the Five Eyes countries, the criminal cartel that runs the intel for all the white people countries or whatnot. So no, I'm not gonna get killed. In a pinch, in layers of intel communities and secret orders and stuff that frontmen for the beast system wouldn't even be told about, even if they had fucking synthetic telepathy. They would be turned off from a fucking satellite before they could get a fucking hand on my throat. But they can sit there, not really a man, not really facing me, not really having a spine, passed out in their shit in another location. But you know, for some of these perps, you know, experts in espionage and the EMF and global Satanism and human trafficking, I invited them. I'm like, you know, if you want to be a man and show up here, I'll be happy to flip you on your back and treat you like a bitch. We all may feel better with talking with our hands for a while. It's what real men do. Instead, they sit back in their EMF sub-reality, torturing 1.5 million of me as American TI. And the international synthetic telepathy unfolds. And these are the swaths of humanity that are torturing American grandmas to death from their headsets and taking payoffs and meth sex slaves in people's homes after they're killed. But they're not really a threat because they can be turned off too. And it's terrorism against me, but despite all my fucking bad words and potty mouth, I'm not really a threat either. I can be turned off by a satellite also. So I woke up to some rehashing of death threats by perps on this broadcast, and Sam the patsy want to make anti-fascist Christians look bad with doing like the NLP communication with his subhuman vocalizations, and I thought it was like sonic weaponry for a while, that it was being laced in over his monkey grunts, but no, I think he's really secretly using NLP among other criteria for the type of subhumans that keep following me around. 5,000 of them over 15 years, and they are a threat. So I'm going to try and be a little bit more professional and have some distance and be like, okay, again, in repeating patterns of history, maybe there's some really bad career criminals that really needed to be TIs, like there needed to be a system. And the repeating patterns of history and secret police and these fucked up things we do to each other as nations, I was one of those guys that really should not have been made a TI. I'm not an international drug trafficker. I'm not a human trafficker. I'm not a drug lord. I'm not a child sex slaver. I'm not a murderer. I'm not a convict. I'm not a felon. I'm not an EMF perp. I'm not so weak in mind control that I can't think for myself at all. So, yeah, I woke up with my perps fronting like they're gonna fucking threaten my life, and they can be turned off in their poopies. Look, Carol, you scared the shit out of them. There's a double entendre in your poopies when I'm making that, and I say that in the voice of a child. Children can be mean. There's a lot of child content in the V2K torture. Two connotations. The mind control addicts that lay out on those machines and they're so addicted to it, they accumulate urine, their feces, and then if they're having orgasms one way or another, their cum, the unclean, plus their genome, plus hanging out in the sub-reality, the EMF, and what goes on there. So laying in your poopies. Laying in your poopies. That's one connotation. And the second connotation, all EMT staff around the world know. When you die, your bowels evacuate. Laying there lifeless like a corpse and a worried look on your face. Look, Harold, you scared the shit out of them. So, one way or the other, a lot of my enemies are laying in their own shit. And I can be turned off with a satellite. I'm not a fucking terrorist, but everything from the EMF for the last 15 years towards me and my family has been absolute 100% internationally recognized on third-party standards. Terrorism and worse. So I don't appreciate my life getting threatened in its front. May have been a little unhappy with the upload to the old YouTube. Yeah, I've been backed into the corner too for the problem reaction behavior that looks like you would want to degrade the target, but I've never seen anybody as forcefully in defense and under threat assert their credentials as a PhD as I heard Dr. Horton in retort to like a threatening from the EMF lawyer who wanted her to shut up about the international synthetic telepathy agenda and all this Satanism. But we get backed into a corner and triggered and trauma-based mind control, and then they can be like, look, he's angry, and then ignore that it's NLP in our heads, pissing us off. Yeah, so I woke up with it. Cowards threatening my life, who also can be turned off by satellites. That may be sort of news to them, laying in their own shit in other locations. Yep, out here in Hillsboro, gonna figure out where I'm gonna go next. Checked in with some family recently. It's very difficult, the life of being a TI. Often whistleblowers, really good people. A lot of them are going to be Christian, that by disposition, nature and nurture, stand up for virtue and against sin and tyranny and Satanism. Unfortunately, a lot of us TI, because of our disposition and our wetware of being good at being good, end up in situations like me, held captive by intel communities with no spine. And they don't have a spine, no. Real Darrells. Spineless little Darrells. Perps on my broadcast in the nut house, making my life fucking difficult, who also can be turned off by a satellite at or nothing more than a front. Deep Thought News had these motherfuckers' numbers like in 2016, 2017. I got a chance to send him a tweet the other day. I hope he's okay. A young man. You would not think him such a accomplished investigative journalist by maybe a photo of him. Same thing with Philip Walker, who perps want to try to do the bait and switch and say he's a perp, not a TI. They do the same shit to me. It's very difficult being a TI, and there's a lot of things I can't change. The chaos, the EMF sub-reality broadcast around 3D and all that Satanism, and what it's really used for, to loot and pillage the 3D world. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to change that. But I can leave instructions on how to exit the reincarnation system here as best I know how. Which, of all the censorship, staying up all night to fuck with my search results, virtue signaling, um, some of that information's been preserved in this information warfare. Also, and not that it's ever working for me since at least 2004 at speed of thought, faster than slowing down to fucking talk. All of my shits are like kept in like clean copied, may not even tell them the truth in 50 years, like super computing with the fucking Pentagon and all this human capital asset stuff. Like, if you think my jibber jabber is keen now, it's always been, and I've been monitored for 15 fucking years, and they still haven't killed me. Frontline for the beast system, laying in the EMF, literally fucking your own mom. Why do you think that's the case? How do you assess human value? Are you a walking fucking couch to a lot of views also? So, when I show anger, it's weakness. When I aim to humiliate, I'm showing weakness. But I'm also being tortured every 15, 20 seconds by cowards that won't even show their face and have no spine. So, very underestimated. And in the same language, it's an algebra equation with what's going on with Kevin Christian. They're designing hell for a straight guy. They're using fake, stupid sounding, unintelligent NLP voices in Art of War, problem reaction solution, get the TI to be sitting there insulting the intelligence of something that knows all of their thoughts, and then all the data that they're allowed through their, their community-based agent up through like the supercomputing AI above all the human intel assets. I've revealed information that may be the most important information in the solar system about getting out of incarnation here. Nobody's gonna fucking kill me. And anybody that jumped at me would be turned off. I'm pretty sure. Quick! Quick! And no, I'm not a community-based agent. No, I'm not in the electric court. No, I'm not from Command Central. But I am an American, and this is fucking treason. Among our other criteria, strict criteria set for war. Which I'm not an expert in. But believe me, we have them. A lot of white boys, too.